Hello everyone, today is 4th of April, now it's 15 to 11 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, and I will start with a short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield. Let's go sector by sector, and first of all, Kherson direction. For whatever reason, Kyiv regime is continuing to send its military personnel on suicidal operations towards left bank of the Dnieper River, and during the previous 24 hours there was another instance when Ukrainian unit tried to cross Dnieper River and reach Krinky settlement. This movement of this unit was tracked by Russian forces, and as soon as they reach Ukrainian forces reach Krinky settlement, this unit was destroyed by Russian forces. Next is Zaporozhye sector of the front line. Main hotspot is of course still Rabotina. Ukrainian units try to conduct several counteroffensives in this area to improve their positions, but all those counteroffensives were repelled by Russian forces, and during the clashes Ukrainian side lost up to 50 military personnel and several military or armored vehicles. Simultaneously, Russian forces were continuing their local-scale offensive operations on the northern western side of Verbovo settlement and established control over the additional Ukrainian strongholds in the fields in between Rabotina and Verbovo, therefore making even more difficult situation for Ukrainian units that are based in Rabotina and in the northern side of Rabotina. Hard to tell how long Ukrainian units will maintain their foothold in Rabotina settlement, but not for long, I guess. On South Donetsk sector, main hotspot is still Novomikhailivka. Both sides were conducting local-scale offensive operations, but line of contact in this area is not changed. Also, Russian forces continuing to increase pressure on Ukrainian units in Uglidar direction, and Russian Air Force on regular basis now are hunting down points of concentration of Ukrainian units and conducting strikes with FAB 500, FAB 1500 glide bombs. Also, in fairly short time, I guess we will see large-scale use of FAB 3000s, which can be, of course, devastating weapon, especially for stationary positions of Kyiv regime forces. And in several media outlets I see news bulletin that Russian Air Force is beginning to actively use also ODAB 500 glide munition, which is, by the way, for comparison, if you have seen explosions from Russian Soltsypyok or Buratino heavy flamethrower systems that has thermobaric warheads, then ODAB 500 is like 20-30 times more powerful, if not more. It also has a two-stage warhead. On initial stages, some flammable substance is spread on a vast area, and then detonation. Second stage comes in, detonation, and oxygen is burned out in the area of explosion. And because of the increased differences in the pressure, it devastates everything in the area. So I guess ODAB 500 gonna be next horror weapon that Eurasian forces will experience on the battlefield. Also, Russian forces continuing to increase pressure on Vremyevsky-Selyan direction, and we have some indicators to make prediction that most likely in upcoming days Russian side will start ground operations towards Urozhaino-Staromayorskaya direction, towards Vremyevsky-Salient in its entirety. Let's continue on South Donetsk. On Donetsk direction, by the way, on southern flank of Donetsk, main hotspots are of course Georgievka on the western side of Marinka, and also Krasnogorovka. There's some kind of operational pause in these directions. Yesterday, military summary channel even reported that Russian units left their foothold in Krasnogorovka, which may be the case, hard to tell. We need some more information, but I would not be surprised if that's exactly the case, because after all, Russian armed forces are using mobile defense or active defense strategy for a reason. And then Avdiivka direction. Well, in Avdiivka direction, new hotspot is Umanskaya settlement, Umanskaya, and Russian armed forces are now on the outskirts of this settlement. Kiev regime forces are trying on a regular basis to conduct local scale offensive operations to secure Umanskaya, but well, seems like Russian armed forces are quite determined to maintain current positions, and maybe in upcoming days we will see even offensive operations inside towards Umanskaya, final offensive and beginning of the battles for this settlement. And dear friends, we have additional confirmations from several sources that Russian armed forces established full control over the Semyonovka and Berdichi settlements on the northern flank of Avdiivka direction. I reported about it yesterday, and well, today some more sources confirm this information. Not just that, but Russian forces are now conducting operations towards Ukrainian positions in these three lines on the northern side of Berdichi. And if that's the case, then of course, just take a look at the map, by the way. If Russian forces conducting offensive in this the direction of these three lines, of course, entire settlement must be under full Russian control. Next is, of course, Chisovyar direction, which is northern flank of Donetsk sector. It might be quite confusing. South Donetsk is a southern flank of Donetsk sector, then Avdiivka sector, then northern flank of Donetsk sector. Previously, Avdiivka sector was a part of Donetsk sector, but Russian militaries have their own calculations. So, well, when it comes to Chisovyar direction, Russian armed forces are continuing to increase pressure on Ukrainian units, and we have reports that that forward units of Russian offensive force in Chisovyar direction are just about few hundred meters away. They are closing into Chisovyar, canal district of the Chisovyar, and yesterday several channels reported that forward units already passed the place where these signs are located of the entrance to the city. And those signs usually are just like 100-200 meters away, maybe 300 meters away before you enter residential areas themselves. So Russian forces definitely are closing into Canal district. And when it comes to Chisovyar, several media outlets are reporting that according to Russian military experts, Kiev regime forces basically transferred central part of Chisovyar into some kind of citadel, and they are trying to prepare as much as possible for defensive operations. But well, it will take time before Russian forces reach central parts of Chisovyar, because if you take a look at the Canal district itself, although it's not a big area, it has high-ranking apartment buildings, blocks here, as you can see. It has industrial area, plenty of places where defense lines may be, or stronger points can be established, and therefore, of course, battle for Chisovyar and Canal district of the Chisovyar included will take quite a time. Although anything is possible, maybe high-ranking officers in the Chisovyar that are leading local garrison will make decision to lay down arms, no longer obey orders from Zelensky and his criminal associates, lay down arms and surrender. And in that case, Russian armed forces may establish control over Chisovyar in fairly short time. Also, by the way, when it comes to northern sectors of the front line, Russian units are increasing pressure on from every direction on Ukrainian units in Seversk area. Main hotspots still are Belogorovka, Razdolovka, Fyodorovka areas, although Russian forces start conducting offensive operations towards Vyimka, Ivanodaryevka directions. Although at this point, of course, we are talking about local scale operations, and it's quite too far away from Seversk itself at this point. And this is Seversk, by the way, quite a large settlement, I will say. And also, when it comes to Kupiansk sector of the front line, main hotspot usually is, of course, Sinkovka settlement, but we did not have any reports in regards to Sinkovka. But what we have is reports that Russian armed forces try to conduct offensive operations in Terny. They try to enter Terny, according to some reports, and there were several reckoning force operations conducted during the previous 24 to 48 hours. And well, maybe my calculation was wrong, because I was thinking that Russian side will probably use Terny and Yampolovka as traps. They are located on the left bank of the Zhiribets River, and therefore they are factually, I mean, at least in my reading of the big picture, they are ideal areas for trap to be created. But who knows? Maybe Russian Defense Ministry has some other plans, and if that's the case, then most likely in upcoming days we will see battles inside Terny and Yampolovka also. And this is it when it comes to short summary of the situation on the Ukrainian battlefield. Dear friends, there are so many developments on daily basis on the line of contact that if you are interested in these details, of course, I recommend in that case military channels. They are providing great volume of information when it comes to this local scale changes on the line of contact, artillery duels, reckoning force operations, and so on. And if you are not familiar with military channels, under this video in description box I have a recommendation list of the channels that I follow, and you can find at least several links to military channels there. And well, before I continue with some additional news, I will share with you one more or two more informations that during the previous night Russian armed forces conducted yet another wave of strikes on logistical and military infrastructure of Kiev regime, and this time seems like main direction was Kharkov city and surrounding areas. And also interesting news, in my opinion, that I share on my Telegram this morning. 153rd Mechanized Brigade of Ukrainian Armed Forces, due to lack of armored vehicles, was transformed into 153rd Infantry Brigade. Quite interesting, yet again, in my opinion, information that once again indicates that Kiev regime is experiencing not just lack of manpower, but also lack of military vehicles, armored vehicles. And this information definitely can be seen as an indicator of that, or even at least indirect confirmation. Okay, that's been said, let's continue with some additional news. And I wonder how long is this update already. It's 13 minutes. Okay. So first of all, RT's report that Ukrainian drone strike injures foreign students from 8 countries. So Ukrainian military drone strike near the Russian city of Elabuga on Tuesday has left students from 8 foreign countries injured, RIA Novosti report citing local authorities. This is, by the way, happened on Tuesday in Tatarstan Republic. I report about these strikes, but we have now more information about it. And well, unfortunately, Kiev regime did what Kiev regime does. They struck civilians, and basically student campus was struck where students were. And as you can see, citizens of 8 countries were injured during this yet another terrorist attack of Kiev regime. RT is reporting that sending soldiers to Ukraine will end badly. Russia tells France the deployment of soldiers to Ukraine would be disastrous for France. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu told his French counterpart Sebastien Lecornu during a rare phone call on Wednesday. This phone call happened yesterday, by the way. I reported about it on my Telegram. And dear friends, if you are not subscribed to my Telegram channel, please consider to do so, because it's a good addition to video updates. I share quite a number of news on daily basis on my Telegram. Link is under this video in description box and in the pinned comment. And well, the 1 hour call was the first conversation between the defense chiefs since October 2022, according to the readout provided by the Russian Defense Ministry. Shoigu warned that France will create problems for itself if it decides to send troops to Ukraine. Interesting development. I did not expect that, and this call was initiated by French side, according to reports that I see in the media here in Russia. And this is definitely important development, because I guess defense chief of France was seeking for a better understanding how safe or unsafe deployment of French troops into Ukraine will be. And well, he received direct answer from Russian defense minister that well, France will create plenty of problems for itself if they will deploy troops into Ukraine. And by the way, at this point, I guess it's almost inevitable that France will deploy its troops into Ukraine. Only question is in which areas these troops will be deployed. If it's Western Ukraine, as I said quite a number of times before, then in that case, maybe it will be possible to avoid direct confrontation between Russian and French or NATO troops. In this case, France is a NATO member state, of course. But if France will deploy its troops outside of Western regions of Ukraine, then I guess it will be almost inevitable that at some point Russian forces will take action against French military. They will have no other option. And also, when I was thinking about analyzing these developments, I paid attention to this part of Odessa region. There are constant talks that French troops might be deployed in direction of Odessa region. And well, if we take a look on the map, this part of Odessa region, by the way, this part that borders Moldova and Romania, used to be part of Romania before Second World War. And well, maybe because we have also rumors that there was no official statements from Bucharest, but there are rumors that are circulating in Romania, in internet in general, that Romania is also preparing forces for deployment into Ukraine. Maybe French and Romanian troops will be deployed in some parts of Western Ukraine that used to belong to Romania before Second World War, and in some parts of Odessa region also. And to be more precise, in this area, I hope you can see it. I mean, this part here, before this waterway. And in that case, of course, if negotiations will take place between Russian leadership and the leadership of Romania, who knows, maybe it will be possible to avoid yet again direct clashes, although I find it hard to believe that Russian side will allow foreign troops to establish control over this part of Odessa region, because it's borders, by the way, Romania on the Danube River. And Danube River, of course, one of the major waterways for EU. Very busy river, and therefore I find it quite difficult to believe that Moscow will agree on deployment of Romania or French troops in this area. But maybe this is going to be priority, main direction of deployment of French troops. I don't know. Let's see. let's see how things develop, because I don't think Macron is that crazy that he may have the ambitions to establish control over the Odessa, by the way, itself, which is a Russian city without doubt, without any questions. But when it comes to this part of Odessa region, because it used to be part of Romania, maybe Paris and Bucharest, already had some talks to send their combined forces in this part of Odessa region, and also in some parts of western Ukraine that used to belong Romania. And also there are talks, by the way, that French troops are considering to deploy their force also in Moldova. So let's see how will situation develop. In any case, right now, all we hear from Moscow, high-ranking officials in Russia, that any NATO troops deployed in Ukraine will be priority targets. That's what we hear, and therefore, Western capitals should definitely think twice before any moves in terms of military deployments will be made. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that according to Wall Street Journal's article, Macron promised his Western colleagues, especially from US, that if French troops will end up under fire in Ukraine, he would not ask US for aid. Okay, can we trust anything Macron says? I don't think so. But if you remember, about a week ago there was statements made by experts of Germany's Bundestag, Germany's parliament, and according to analytics of experts there, if NATO troops deployed in Ukraine and then those troops are neutralized or by Russian forces, that would not be enough reason to trigger NATO's 5th article about collective defense. And this message from Berlin was definitely directed towards French leadership, and maybe Macron realized this, and that's why he came up with that's why he informed his colleagues, including in the US, that if French troops will be neutralized in Ukraine, he would not ask for assistance. Yet again, nothing can be trusted that comes from leadership of Western world nowadays, with very few exceptions. I mean, Hungary being one, Slovakia, and there are several politicians in the West that can be taken seriously, but and that's it really, which is definitely sad for the entire world, not just for the collective West. But in any case, world is entering very dangerous times. Let's say it this way. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian Foreign Ministry made a statement warning, yet another warning, in regards to Ukrainian crisis, that this conflict may you know what, let me translate, man, my English is so bad and I cannot start recording this update again. So the Russian Foreign Ministry announced that the threat of the crisis in Ukraine going beyond geographic boundaries of this failed state on the name of Ukraine. I'm trying to record this update, by the way, 2 hours now, and because of some technical issues, I'm still recording it. And because I'm making videos in one take, if there is some technical issue, then I have to start again and again, and it's exhausting, man. But in any case, RIA Novosti is reporting, as I said, that according to Russian Foreign Ministry, this conflict in Ukraine may go beyond the geographic boundaries of this failed state if NATO member states are not careful enough. This is clear warning, yet another, by the way. And if things go down in most pessimistic way, let's say this way, then I don't think anybody in this world can blame Russia for that, because there were so many warnings from Moscow, isn't it? So many warnings in last 2 years, and even before that. But Western ruling class is unwilling to listen, unable to listen, and pushing this world basically towards some existential crisis. Anyway, let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that press spokesman of Russian President Dmitry Peskov commented on statements of he was asked basically about statement of Zelensky that Russia is planning to mobilize some 300,000 reservists for 1st of June, and well, Peskov denied this claim of Zelensky. At this point, by the way, if you remember, like a few days ago, I reported that on daily basis, up to 1,500, even 2,000 citizens here in Russia are applying for service in military, in armed forces, and signing a contract with army. Since the beginning of this year, more than 100,000 people already sign up to serve in Russian armed forces and participate in special military operation. And when there is such a huge number of volunteers, why you need mobilization? I mean, really. And you know my take on topic of mobilization. I was saying quite a number of, I said quite a number of times that because at some point, decisive actions from Russian side will definitely take place, and huge areas, vast areas of Kiev controlled territories will become under Russian control. For policing operations, of course, they will be necessary to have thousands and tens of thousands, I guess, tens of thousands of personnel to conduct these policing operations in territories that already have been liberated from Kiev terrorist regime in Kiev. And because of that, I was thinking, you know what, mobilization may take place, and some additional number of reservists may be called exactly to conduct these policing operations, not to participate in battles on the line of contact, because for these purposes Russian armed forces have professional militaries, but to conduct policing operations on liberated territories. And I'm still thinking that, you know what, if it's necessary, then what is the big deal, by the way? I mean, if it's necessary to conduct mobilization, then I don't see issues there. If I am called, by the way, I am a reservist also, and if I am called, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna run away, or what? Of course I'm not gonna run away. By the way, during the previous mobilization, first time in my life I was checking mailbox. First time in my life I was checking mailbox every single day, because I'm a reservist, and if I receive notice that I'm mobilized, then, you know, of course I had to go to enlistment office and you know. But I was not mobilized because I don't have military experience. So I mean, people like me hardly can be helpful on line of contact. I can barely probably disassemble and reassemble AK, for example. Although if you give me some I don't know, half an hour, I will manage to do it. But I was waiting, by the way, because I'm old enough. I lived my life, and if I would be mobilized, then of course I will go into enlistment office, and then I mean, I believe in fate, and that's it. What will be, that will be, you know. And same, I guess, vast majority here in Russia has very similar approach, and therefore I don't see any issues. I mean, Western media outlets, Western propaganda or Kiev regime is trying to create this picture that, well, there will be mobilization in Russia, Even if will be mobilization, then what? What is the issue? I mean, I truly don't understand. What then? Russia is not Ukraine, by the way. In Ukraine, there is forceful mobilization because people know perfectly well that Russia is on right side of history, not this terrorist regime in Kiev and its Western masters. And they don't want to die for geopolitical ambitions of this sick Western elites, mentally sick Western ruling class. They just don't want to die for them, which is understandable. But when it comes to Russia, by the way, we know we are on the right side of history. And if I'm mobilized and if I have to go to the line of contact or to, I don't know, conduct some policing operations if necessary, then that's what I'm going to do. And if I'm going to die, I'm going to die. That's it. I believe in fate. And if I'm going to live, then I will live. And I believe, by the way, vast majority here in Russia has a very similar approach. In some sense, we all are fatalists. We believe in fate. And we believe in cause. And when we know that we are on the right side of history, then, I mean, what else do you need, really? And therefore, I mean, I believe that because of the high rate of volunteers, because of the high number of volunteers that are signing contracts with the armed forces, probably there will be no need for mobilization. But even if mobilization will take place in May or June or July, I don't think that's a big deal, really. You know? So if Western ruling class, Western elites are thinking that they can push this narrative and spread information in Russia that, oh, there will be mobilization and people gonna scare and situation may destabilize, they are so much mistaken, by the way. They don't understand us, man. They don't understand the way of our thinking. You know? Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that Ukraine aid must be a multi-year financial commitment for NATO, according to Secretary General of this organization, this military bloc, US-led military bloc. The chief of US-led bloc has reportedly suggested a 5-year, $107 billion plan to provide Kyiv with weapons. Ukraine should be able to enjoy a stable stream of Western arms supplies in the long terms rather than relying on voluntary donations, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg has said, speaking ahead of the NATO Foreign Ministers Summit in Brussels on Wednesday. The bloc's chief stressed that Kyiv, which has repeatedly complained of the lack of munition and weapons, has urgent needs, while warning that any delays in assistance would have consequences on the battlefield. According to Reuters, to secure long-term support for Kiev, Stoltenberg had proposed a 5-year, 100 billion euro or $107 billion US package of military aid to Ukraine. Under the plan, US-led military bloc would also reportedly take on more responsibility for coordinating the assistance to Kyiv from the US, aimed concerns that the re-election of the GOP president frontrunner Donald Trump could undermine the Western campaign to support Ukraine. So basically, I don't know what is going on in among the ruling Western class of the West, but they clearly are at least several groups there that are in conflict with each other and quite often contradicting each other. Western ruling class is definitely not united, because I read some articles this morning that in several EU member states or NATO member states, officials were shocked to hear from Stoltenberg that some additional 107 billion should be allocated for Kyiv regime. I mean, even for even for Russophobe leaders of quite a number of NATO member states, this is too much. But because after all, almost all European states, by the way, are experiencing significant economical issues. And they are cutting, by the way, on social programs inside their countries and are allocating billions and billions for Kyiv regime. And people in Western states are waking up and asking, you know what, we don't care about Russia, we don't care about Ukraine. What the hell are you doing with our money? We need this money here to do some, to invest in infrastructure, to support whoever needs to be supported and so on. So yes, Western ruling class definitely is not united, and probably there will be significant debates in the West on this new initiative of the Stoltenberg. And according to some reports that I see, by the way, even Washington was not happy with this new initiative of Stoltenberg, especially in terms that NATO should be leading the charge against Russia, not US. Because of course Washington wants to be in charge of everything and no one else. And by the way, before I continue, let me notice, if I may, that this small media project of mine with several channels is fully subscriber funded. And if you find these channels interesting, useful, informative, and you know, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty. This is the Boosty, by the way, most popular donation platform among content creators in Russia. I'm no longer have a Buy Me Coffee because I was suspended or cancelled there because of my Russian citizenship. So I have to use Boosty. Although PayPal, of course, widely known worldwide. And also, by the way, you can subscribe to my Patreon page, on which I have on regular basis some news updates, some extra content just about life in Russia. I'm trying to make Patreon page also as interesting and as possible. So yes, if you're considering this project to be interesting, then yes, please consider to support. All the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comments. And of course, many thanks to all the members of our community who already supported and continues to support my work. Thank you very much. That's been said, let's continue. And Kommersant newspaper, excuse me, Kommersant newspaper is reporting that it's already 37 minutes. Okay, at least I will go through some headlines. So Kommersant newspaper is reporting that in Iran, 3 officers of security services were killed as a result of terrorist attack in several settlements, to be more precise, in Rask and Chabahar, which is southeastern part of Iran, in Sistan and Balochistan provinces. RIA Novosti is reporting that Parliament of Georgia, by the way, once again will try to vote for a bill about foreign agents. And during the first attempt, Washington, Brussels, they heavily criticized a ruling party in Georgia for trying to basically conduct some lustration in Georgia, because many NGOs in Georgia, by the way, many so-called politicians and political parties, they are financed from the outside. They are run by US, to be more precise, mainly US Secret Services. And of course, they were against this bill to be voted in Georgian parliament because they don't want their assets to be lustrated. And there was a attempt to destabilize Georgia. It was 2023. And attempt to conduct some regime change, and I'm afraid Washington may try it once again. They may try to use their assets in Georgia, and they have plenty of assets, by the way, in Georgia, unfortunately, and they might once again try to destabilize Georgia, conduct some regime change, and then use Georgia or sacrifice Georgia by using it as a second front against Russia. Vzglyad newspaper is reporting that Russian president during the meeting with the head of Sakhalin region of Russian Federation supported the idea to build a bridge between mainland Russia and Sakhalin island. And this is going to be huge, of course. This is going to be huge because, this is Sakhalin, by the way, here. And there was ideas to build a bridge, or even ideas to dig a tunnel between mainland and Sakhalin. If I'm not mistaken, during the Stalin reign, during the Soviet Union, digging of the tunnel even began, but then was stopped. And of course, if bridge will be built between mainland Russia and Sakhalin in the Far East, that will of course significantly increase economical potential of Sakhalin Island, and investments will increase immensely in this direction. So great idea. It's gonna be a challenging project, by the way, because it's not gonna be a small bridge, it's gonna be a huge bridge. Russia built the Crimean bridge, so I guess it is possible to build the bridge towards Sakhalin also. And of course, by the way, Moscow pays huge attention to the development of Far East regions of the Russian Federation, and those regions have immense potential, especially if we take in account huge developments in China, which is definitely heading towards becoming a major economy of this world, number one economy of this world. China is already number one economy in some sense, but it will become even bigger. Chinese population is 1.5 billion, isn't it? The US population is like 300 million. So if US economy right now is about, I don't know, some 20-30 trillion, Chinese economy potentially can reach, I don't know, some 50-70 trillion Chinese GDP before 2050, 2070. So of course developments will be immense in the region, and it opens huge potential for Russian Far East regions also. And therefore I definitely can see logic behind the decision of Putin to support this idea to build a bridge with Sakhalin. Also, RT is reporting that 2 more Moscow allies stopped accepting Russian payment cards. Unfortunately, risk of US secondary sanctions has forced banks of Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan to suspend financial ties and stop honoring Russian mir transfers or mir card. I reported about it previously, and I'm reporting about it now. And well, definitely, I believe this year, by the way, probably we will see some significant moves from BRICS in regards of building alternative financial and banking system in this world, which is so necessary that I don't think anybody will oppose this. It's just objectively extremely necessary, because the Western financial and banking system have been used as a weapon by Western ruling class and can no longer be trusted. That's all. And maybe, by the way, in this autumn, when in Kazan, capital of Tatarstan, there will be BRICS summit here in Russia. Maybe during that summit in Kazan, capital of Russia's Tatarstan Autonomous Republic, we will hear some statements about exactly this topic, creating alternative financial and banking system, and maybe even BRICS currency, which is also necessary, by the way. BRICS currency is necessary so that world community will have some alternative reserve currency, alternative to the US dollar, euro, and the British pound. RT is reporting that Russia is reliant on oil and gas exports, according to Prime Minister of Russian Federation. He reported he was in the Russian Parliament yesterday in State Duma, and he was reporting about work of Russian government. And well, because this update is already too long, you know what, I will share with you anyway this information. Update is already too long anyway. So Russian economy is growing while becoming less and less reliant on oil and gas exports. Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin told lawmakers on Wednesday the government's revenue is increasing, allowing Moscow to finance growth and development projects and to meet social obligations, he added. The federal budget income surpassed 29 trillion rubles, which is 314 billion US dollars in 2023, a rise of almost 5% compared to previous year, the head of Russian government said as he presented his report to the State Duma. Non-oil and gas income grew by quarter, he told MPs, which is quite significant, by the way. Probably you will agree with me. The economy, he said, is becoming less dependent on the exports of the raw materials. According to Mishustin, the nation's GDP increased by 3.6% last year, more than double the average growth reported by most developed nations over the same period, which amounts to 1.6%. Total industrial output grew by 3.5%, the Prime Minister said, adding that the manufacturing sector demonstrated growth of 7.5%. The unemployment rate was cut by half by the end of 2023 and amounted to 3%. Mishustin said Russia also witnessed a record high investment last year, which grew by 10% and reached the highest level in 12 years, according to their official. He added that the policies of the Russian Central Bank also allowed for the reining in inflation, reducing it from 11.9 to 7.4%. Well, quite impressive numbers, the nation's debt with which amounts to 17% of the GDP, remains at the secure level, Mishustin noted, pointing out that is far lower than in the West. Earlier this week, the central bank reported that as of January 1st this year, the external debt of the Russian Federation amounted to 316.8 billion US dollars, having decreased by 68.2 billion or 17.7% over the course of 2023. So despite the Western sanctions, by the way, Russian economy is not just doing okay, but also managing to grow and even reduce its foreign debt by $68.2 billion in 2023. And if I may, dear friends, I will end this update on this news. I hope you will find this video interesting and useful, and if so, please consider to click that like button, leave some commentary just about anything, any topic, and share links to my videos and my channels with your friends on any of the platforms that you are actively using. It will definitely help to reach a wider audience. And well, this is it. Have a great day and take care.